seen as somebody who... Hare Krishna. You have been hearing, na? मतलब पहले से?
Yes, yes, the recording was not started.
Oh, okay. I thought I went out and came back in. So, Parent Krishna is saying in a parental corrective mood, uh, not in a way that he delights cruel mood. No, Krishna is ever good. So this is what no, but we have to be very careful when Krishna is saying such. He certainly hates. Hates means he hates these qualities, demonic qualities. And as a devotee who wants to please Krishna should also hate such demonic qualities within us and within anyone else. But don't hate the person, because Krishna doesn't hate the person. Because that same person, when he agrees to when he agrees to reprimand himself, Krishna is very happy. He gives all opportunities to him. So he would have hated Krishna if he would have hated the person. Then it's very difficult to give them uh, to actually accept them back. So that's what is the and Prabhupada refers to the third canto, Karmana Deva Nitena Chenturdeho Striya Pravishnutam Pumsoreta Kanashraya. So those who don't hear, Krishna puts them into the wombs of a mother where they will suffer because of the demonic instincts. That's what happens. So one has to be very careful as a devotee. We should be very far away because these demonic qualities are not just out and out demonic quality. They are not like very cross also sometimes. Dambha, Darpa, Abhimanascha. These are something which is very subtle also. These are demonic qualities which Krishna has stated in the third and fourth shlokas of these words. This chapter itself. Dambha, Darpa, Abhimanascha, my Lord, pride, arrogance, conceit. There's a very certainly it can be present within us because those of us, including me, who are not pure, will have these tendencies. And these tendencies, we should know what Krishna is saying. We surely know these statements are not about people who are sadhakas, but sadhakas should also fear that how much my master hates these qualities. And that is very clear. Then he says the 20th shloka, where he continues his mood and speaks something more strongly about these demonic people, what happens to them, what the Lord reciprocates with them, how the Lord reciprocates with them. So he says the 20th one, Asurim yonim apanna murha janmani mam aprapeva kaunteya tato yanti adhamam gatim. Yeah, please read. Anyone can read the one translation.
Attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, O son of Kunti, such persons can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. Purport also, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
It is known that God is all merciful, but here we find that God is never merciful to the demoniac. It is clearly stated that the demoniac people, life after life, are put into the wombs of similar demons and not achieving the mercy of the Supreme Lord. They go down and down, so that at last they achieve bodies like those of cats, dogs, and hogs. It is clearly stated that such demons have practically no chance of receiving the mercy of God at any stage of later life. In the Vedas, also it is stated that such persons gradually sink to become dogs and hogs. It may be then argued in this connection that God should not be advertised as all merciful if he is not merciful to such demons. In answer to this question, in the Vedanta Sutra, we find that the Supreme Lord has no hatred for anyone. The placing of the asuras, the demons, in the lowest status of life is simply another feature of his mercy. Sometimes the asuras are killed by the Supreme Lord, but this killing is also good for them. For in Vedic literature, we find that anyone who is killed by the Supreme Lord becomes liberated. There are instances in history of many asuras, Ravan, Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, to whom the Lord appeared in various incarnations just to kill them. Therefore, God's mercy is shown to the asuras if they are fortunate enough to be killed by him. Yes.
Yeah. So over here, Krishna is continuing, and he is saying, "Janmani, Janmani." You know, we pray every day, "Mama Janmani, Janmani." Give your bhakti, right now. We say, na danam, na janam, na sundarin, pavitam, va jagadish, kamaye, Mama Janmani, Janmani. Sware Bhavatar Bhakti Ahe Tuki Toi. So that we pray. And Krishna is saying, okay, if somebody of demoniac nature, Mudha Janmani Janmani, foolish, no, Asurim Yonim Apanna. एक बार नहीं, जन्म जन्मांतर करेगा वो, उसको मिलने वाला है. माम अप्राप्य वे कौनते. Such people, मेरे को, they can't प्राप्त, they can't get me. Tato yanti adhamam gatim. They are condemned. So Prabhupada is writing is raising the same question which we had discussed in the previous just a purport, that it may be argued that Krishna is not so, does not it's not merciful. Why to say that he is merciful? Why you advertise him to be as merciful? If it's all merciful, he should be merciful to demons also. What kind of mercy is this? But in connection to this, if anybody says like that, our acharyas, no, they quote Chandogya Upanishad, and they also quote Vedanta Sutra, which says that Vedanta Sutra says that Vaishamya nay agrihanye na. There is no prejudice or hatred in the Lord. Vaishamyata nahi hai Bhagavan mein. Na, neither nair grihanye. It doesn't. There is no hatred. घृणा करने की भावना नहीं है भगवान. There is no hatred and no prejudice. Vishamya. No, nothing like that is there. There is no fault of prejudice in the Lord. There is no fault of hatredness in the Lord. He doesn't hates anyone. There's only one thing is with the Lord. He loves. So, but one thing is very clear. So, because over here, Arjun may stay, after hearing the 19th shloka, where he said, no, they will perpetually. So he may ask her, will those born in the wombs of asuras become liberated at some time by your mercy after many births or not? After many births at least? Said no. This is the answer to this verse, to the question of Arjuna, which is saying, no. These fools born in demonic wombs will not attain me, but rather than proceed to the lowest creatures like dogs, hogs, and all that. So, a birth which is suitable for practicing what they wish to be. So, Achha, but how they will get a birth suitable for practicing attainment of you? Krishna is saying, no. Those of bad conduct will attain only low birth, such as dogs. Atha kaupya charana abhyaso ayatte kaupai kapuyam yonim apadreyam swayonim va sukara yonim va chandala yonim va. Krishna says, this is Chandogya Upanishad which I said, those of bad conduct, they attain low birth, such as the Swayonim, dog, Shukara Yoni, pig, Chandala Yoni, Chandalas. No. So, but sir, but as the question was raised by Prabhupada, somebody say, but you have the quality. But sir, you have the quality that, having all your desires fulfilled, you have Satya Sankalpa Shakti with you. You have Satya Sankalpatva. The Lord has. You can make them qualified, even if they're unqualified, because you say you are his Surid. Why don't you do it like that? You know? See, yeah, this is truth. Anything is possible for the Lord. But though he could do that, he can make the person demoniac into divine just by his will. But he does not have that desire. Lord does not have such desire. Why? Because if somebody says, why you don't have such desire? There's no good reason for me to do like that. You know, what is the reason? They don't want to be. You know, why I should? You know, somebody भूखे को प्यासे को पानी दिया जाता है. Right? If it doesn't have hunger, why to give them? And 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 same Krishna says even for when he comes to giving bhakti. Krishna says हंगर है, भक्ति का हंगर है तो भक्ति प्रदान करूंगा, नहीं है तो नहीं प्रदान करूंगा. Same way over here Krishna is saying, there is no good reason to make them from divine into demonic into divine, because there's no good reason, they don't want it. So and then Prabhupada is saying, but towards the last, when Prabhupada is saying that those who are killed by the Lord, those who are killed by the Lord, like Ravana, Kamsa, at least they appear and they get a good destination. You know, so that is fortunate. That is at least is fortunate. So those demons and actually who are killed by the Lord are fortunate, surely. Being killed by Vaman and other incarnations, they give the body of Asuras. Those who killed by Krishna attain liberation. You know, these persons are actually, and amazing. Bhaktivedanta Bhushan says that these people who are killed by the Lord, either as a Vamana Rupa, as a Sukara Rupa, as Narasimha Rupa, as Krishna himself, these all people were not opposers of the Vedas. These were no, in the past, externally they showed hatred towards the Lord, these demons, who were killed by the Lord. But internally, they were followers of the Vedic path. And considering him to be the supreme Lord, the control God is control beyond, and they were like that. But externally, they were acting. That is truth. Jai Vijay, all these forms they came. So to them only the Lord kills. Also has been said very heavily, and liberates them or gives them something like that. So once upon a time they were good people, followers, but they were got covered over. But those who are internally also wrong, I don't know how that's so. Matlab, you know, so for them it's very difficult. So this is something which has been also stated by Bhaktivedanta Bhushan in this context to this particular verse. So over here, uh, it's it's very clear that the Lord actually does not want um, the Lord does not want such demoniac nature at all to be exhibited, and about any people in general, and what to say about devotees. So one should know actually how to know what is demoniac and what is actually. So that these qualities are very there, very much. Actually, when we look ourself, I want to say, when we look our behavior, ourselves, our heart, by keeping the mirror of Guru Sadhu Shastri, then only we can understand what is demoniac within and what is divine within. Whether I am acting demoniacally or I am acting divine. Till the point we don't have such mirror of Guru Sadhu Shastra Vani, actually it's very difficult on a logical basis, on a worldly basis, to decide whether my actions and my intentions are divine or demonic. So no, on a logik platform, we don't decide divine and demonic, especially as a practitioner of sadhana bhakti. So sometimes a devotee may do right thing, but intentions may be demonic. You know, it's very deadly. egoistic intentions, proudful intentions. So one has to always check within, his heart, and then act. What is my intentions behind what I'm speaking and doing? By keeping the mirror of Guru Sadhu Shastravani in front of. Because why to keep that? Because we should know it very clearly. They know us in and out. We may speak, we may speak and do something and say, sir, my intentions were fine, but they know it very well. So better to keep their, mirror in front and check. And if it is intentions are not fine, better not act. You know, don't sprung into action at all. And pray and pray that Krishna, please purify my intentions. So to understand what is wrong in the world, we have to look in the mirror of Guru Sadhu and Shastra, not in the newspaper or some social media or anything like that. So because world is full of impurities of lust, anger, and greed, and they will only induce those things within us. So they are never the reference point for deciding our intentions. A reference point of deciding my intentions is Guru Sadhu Shastra. So this is something which is very important for us to actually be careful when we act, because over here Krishna is very heavy when he's speaking about these demonic people. What How he reciprocates with them. So and one of the biggest demonic nature which make creep in a devotee's life is actually blaspheming, fault finding, criticizing Vaishnava aparadh. That's a big, very big, you know. All of us surely know sin is is manageable, tolerable, but not offenses. Right now, each one of us know it very well. So one has to be very careful from these qualities which Krishna is stating. Any questions in these two verses before I jump into the another section now? Anyone of you would like to share something, ask something? Else, I'll continue with the next. Okay, I'll take the option. Go ahead. Next, now Krishna starts saying about now 20 or 21. Now he says about uh, uh, what is the beginning of the demonic nature? How the demonic nature begins has been said over here. So because Krishna is now being merciful, because Arjun, sorry, you hate so much demonic quality. Tell me how it is born. Nobody wants it to be a demon, but how they become and how what happens. Krishna says this is the way. Trividham त्रिविधं नरकस्येदं द्वारं नाशन आत्मनः कामक्रोधस्तथा लोभ तस्मात् एतत् त्रयं त्यजेत्. Please read, one of you.
Okay, I'll read probably. There are three gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. Purport: the beginning of demoniac life is described herein. One tries to satisfy his lust, and when he cannot, anger and greed arise. A sane man who does not want to glide down to the spaces of demonic life must try to give up these three enemies, which can kill the self to such an extent that there will be no possibility of liberation from this material entanglement.
So that's what. So these three, Krishna is saying over here. त्रिद्वारकम त्रिविधम नरकेशदम तीन तीन तरह से हेल में लोग जाते हैं, तीन द्वार से लोग जाते हैं. ये तीन द्वार क्या है? Lust, anger, and greed. So, so, uh, so over here, uh, no, over here, Krishna actually answers this. So when the last verse was said, Mama Janmani, no, not Mama Janmani, Janmani, they will be thrown into the demonic species of life. So Arjuna asks a question. So people hearing this, you know, this are going to want, surely they will like to know now. They don't want to enter into this demonic, zone or demonic qualities. They would like to give it up. So, uh, so, what can they do to accomplish this? Krishna answers this question, which you just now read. Uh, every sane man should give these up. If you wish to be sane, not become insane, better tyajet. Give up lust, anger, and greed. But it's easy to be said, not so easy to be done. Uh, so we all of us know that calm is the first problem, lust, and when it is fulfilled, it turns to greed. When it is unfulfilled, it turns to anger. Prabhupada over here is actually, in the purport he says to this words that one tries to satisfy his lust, and when he cannot, the anger and greed arises. So anger and greed arises, not just because when somebody is not able to satisfy his lust, or this is, or if it's because actually other acharyas also say if one is not able to get what he wants, it anger arises. But if he gets what he wants, greed arises. So in both the way, his lust is not satisfied, and that's why anger and greed arises. So, so this is something which Krishna is stating over here, that one has to be very, very, very careful from it. So, any man who wants to, want to avoid this demoniac nature must must follow this instruction of the Lord to give up, you know, to give up the, this demoniac nature which is born out of lust, anger, and greed. Uh, so, so one has to live. No, there's something called as a living with a red zone. So suppose there's a pandemic, like our COVID was a pandemic, and certain areas are identified as a red zone. Some identified as a yellow zone, blue zone. That was done that time. So so living with a red zone means actually, we all live with a red zone. What is that red zone? The red zone is within us. And that red zone is what? The presence of these three gateways to hell: lust, anger, greed. No, no. And this is not something new for us. And lust, anger, and greed has only made us, act in sane ways, and have made us, transfer from one body to another body till now. And if we don't understand this till now, it will be transmigration from one body to another body will continue. Because it says, because these three are, impulse us to do some self-destructive actions and make our life hellish. So we all live in a red zone. So in a red zone, when you go in a COVID time, you would be very, very safe. And if you have to go out, if at all we had to, you all have gone in the red zone area with what, with lot of caution you will go. So same way it's been said, we have to take a lot of caution against these three problems which is there in any sadhaka's life. Till the point he has not, you know, made himself out from sadhana to, yes, to gaining the sadhya. So one has to be very, very, very careful. Because unknowingly, like if somebody goes, this is just an analogy I'm speaking, like if somebody goes in a pandemic zone, you know, when he gets infected, he doesn't comes to know. When he comes back to home, and then in 1 or 2 days, the situation worsens, and then he comes to know, oh, I'm infected. The same happens when lust, anger, and greed takes over the person. It is not so easily to understand at that time when it has bit us, or when it has made us the victim. And eventually we come to know that, oh, uh, I am I have been now infected. So now, but surely now all of us do get some signals in our consciousness. Either anger will arise, problems will happen, mind will go here and there, and surely our chanting gives us a very it shows us the barometer of these three things to a large degree. Everyday chanting itself shows us. So there's a way, but one has to be very, very careful, and especially in today's world, because today's world, there's outside in the outside world, there's a lot of stimuli for lust, anger, and greed to arise. Every advertisement can make is only made up to arise the greed within. Every advertisement about luxury and comfort, every advertisement. That's how they're going to earn. And lust, all of us know very well. This is a old time thing, which has been haunting people time again and again. No matter who you are, which varna, which ashram, whichever you are, if you are not Krishna conscious, these three things are not going to leave us, in spite of material, social status of life. In spite of it, only one who are Krishna conscious people, and they're Krishna conscious. So being Krishna conscious, they are also very well conscious about these three enemies. So they are at guard. One has to always have his guard on when we when we uh, when we when we deal with our mind and senses, when we act through it, and it's all the time we act through mind and senses. So one has to be very careful. Else, in this technological driven world, it is very difficult. It's very difficult. Any caste, creed, nationality, gender, varna, ashrama, anything, all have problem. Then age also has to be added. 80-year-old man or 80-year-old boy or a girl. Man or woman of 80 years, or boy or a girl of 80-year-old. All all have problem of lust, anger, greed. One has to be one has to take the take it seriously. Else else we'll act on a wrong on a wrong instinct, and make our life demoniac, consciousness demoniac. So it's very deadly. By the way, many things can be said about these three things, but this is you all are already Bhakti Shastri. You would have heard many times before also these things. But although being said, one has to take caution. No matter, I'm again saying, no matter who you are, whichever category person you are, whichever upadhi you have or we have, material upadhis, irrespective of it, these three things will haunt. And if you want to be saved from it, and we have to be on guard. And sometimes other people will come to know about we being haunted by it, and sometimes other people will not come to know. But for sure, you know, Guru Sadhu, and Bhagavan, they come to know, and we can't just hide our faces from them, for sure. So And that's why next day chanting, dealing with devotees reflects those things for sure. So then next he says over here in the next shloka he continues and says, Eter vimuktah kaunteya tamodvara stribhirnara acharati atmanah shreyas tato yati param gatim. Yeah, please read on.
The man who has escaped these three gates of hell, O son of Kunti, performs act conclusive performs acts conducive to self-realization and thus gradually attains the supreme destination. Shall I continue with the purport too?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm reading from mobile, so I'm struggling a bit.
Okay.
Just little, can you scroll down? There is a recording icon there, so I'm not able to read the first two words. Um, you have to
Now,
scroll little down, Prabhu. Okay, pardon.
is it now
Uh,
fine?
No, bro, I'm not able to read. Maybe someone else can read, bro. There is a recording icon there. Otherwise, I will just try to skip the one. Should be very careful of these three enemies to human life: lust, anger, and greed. The something is there, bro. I'm not able to read. Is freed from lust, anger, and greed. The more his existence becomes pure, then he can follow the rules and regulations enjoined in the Vedic literature. By following the regulative principles of human life, one gradually raises himself to the platform of spiritual realization. Shall I read the highlighted version or the complete part?
No, highlighted version you read more emphatically. Another version you read normal.
Okay,
That's one thing.
sure. If one is so fortunate by such practice to rise to the platform of Krishna consciousness, then success is guaranteed for him. In the Vedic literature, the ways of action and reactions are prescribed to enable one to come to the stage of purification. The whole method is based on giving up lust, greed, and anger. By cultivating knowledge of this process, one can be elevated to the highest position of self-realization. The self-realization is perfected to devotional service. In that devotional service, the liberation of the conditioned soul is guaranteed. Therefore, according to the Vedic systems, there are instituted the four orders of life, the four statuses of life, called the caste system and the spiritual order system. These are different rules and regulations for different castes or divisions of society. And if a person is able to follow them, he will be automatically raised to the highest platform of spiritual realization. Then he can have liberation without a doubt. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for reading. My difficulty also. So now over here now Krishna is saying, after introducing these three gates to hell, he says any man who escapes it, any jiva who escapes these three gates to hell, he and also performs acts which is conducive to self-realization. And because what said, na, sin and Krishna consciousness both ill together. So this is what has been said over here. So becomes conducive to self, and gradually one may rise. And so one should be careful about these three. And the more a person is freed, and that is why we hear our great acharyas' life stories, such a life story. And uh, even Sar Goswami Ashtakam, this is an emblem of purity. Because they are our heroes. No matter whoever we are Vaishnavas, we are Gauriya Vaishnavas, they are our heroes. That goes on how beautifully they say the kind of life they are living. That is why we hear in Chaitanya Charitamrita that any devotee would go to from Navdeep to Vrindavan, Vraja, and when they come back, people will ask them question. Tell us. They won't tell what is happening to Yamuna, what is happening to the forest of Vrindavan. what happened to other things. They would ask, tell us, how is our Rup and Sanatan doing? You know, and they would hear their activities. They will feel blessed, and they will also feel a pain. Blessed, no, because hearing them about them would purify them, and pained to hear about their austerities that they were doing it. So Nidra, Ahara, Vihara, Kavijato, right? So these kind of verses are there, and they were living it. Uh, we can't, we can't ever become like that. We not, we are not even never be like, try to be like that. But we are talking in the sense of, Prabhupada is writing, everyone has to purify his existence. Purifying his existence means over here, Prabhupada is saying, freedom from these three gateways to hell, lust, anger, and greed. And how to do that? Prabhupada says, by following the regulative principle of human life, one gradually raises himself to the platform of spiritual realization. So those who will follow it, they will only can rise it. But also not that those who are only following will rise it. Even Mayavadis and all, they also follow to some degree these things, for sure. But they don't get, they don't come to the platform of spiritual realization. But it becomes conducive. It's very easy. And because to cultivate knowledge of this process, one has to become clean. By the way, we have heard that chanting makes us clean. So yeah, chanting makes us clean for sure. Now, chanting helps us to rise above these platforms. But also we have to prohibit ourselves uh, in terms of acting on these platforms and practice Krishna consciousness together. Both has to go hand in hand. Now, if we're not, then it's very difficult. So there are different rules, and there are different rules and regulations for different varna and ashram has to be followed. Whatever rules and regulations are there of different ashram, it should be followed, and with a caution that those rules should be conducive for Krishna consciousness, right? Not pratikul for the Krishna consciousness. If it is pratikul, no matter whatever it has to be given up, and if it is anukul, no matter how hard it is, it should be accepted. Both has to be done. So this is what has been said. So this is true. This is this golden line which Prabhupada has written based on this particular verse only, that sin and Krishna consciousness goes ill together. They can't go together, you know. So the result of giving up these three items is said over here. They will become conducive for self-realization, and eventually, if they march on that path, they will attain param gatim. You know, they will also attain liberation. So over here, that's what has been said. Tato yati param gatim. So by the way, one thing, Krishna has said many places param gatim, param gatim, param gatim. But all these param gatims are not the same. You know? So over here, somebody, if you read the literal translation of it, एतर विमुक्त कौन्तेय तमो द्वार त्रिभिर नरः आचरति आत्मनः श्रेयस ततो यति पराम गतिम. जो इन तीन चीजों से बच के आचरण करेगा, who will, no, they are benedicted with a life of supreme destination. So what destination are they? At most they can get a destination of, if they are not devotees, at most they can get a destination of a jnani or a yogi. You know? No, not like of a devotee. But eventually, if they get into, because of the association of some devotee, get into practicing of devotional service and perform actually pure devotional service, then surely of Param Gatim, of entering into Goloka Vrindavan, Vraja Bhumi, maybe is possible. So one just has to know it that these not every Param Gatim is the same which has been spoken in the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita everywhere. So we have to, if we want to cut this upside down banyan tree, which is the This is the beginning of this chapter. And one has to free himself from these three things. And lust, anger, and greed. And surely then greed, rises to illusion, pride, envy, and all those. So one has to explicitly, you know, explicitly one has to discourage the cultivation of lust, anger, and greed in his life. So after saying that, now Krishna offers two verses, the last two verses of this chapter, as a conclusion to this chapter, where he is saying what the person should do to get rid of lust, anger, and greed, or what a person should do, what help a person should take in his life, that he should not, act on these three instincts, trigger of lust, anger, and greed. So no, then he says this verse. This is a very famous verse, very very famous verse. Probably you would have heard hundreds of times till now. So this is a verse which has been said over here. Yah shastra vidhin utsvijya vartate kamakartah na sasiddhim avapnoti na sukham na param gatim. Please read one of it.
He
Yes.
who discards scripture injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. Purport: as described before, the Shastra Vidhi or the direction of the Shastra is given to the different castes and orders of human society. Everyone is expected to follow these rules and regulations. If one does not follow them and acts whimsically according to his lust, greed, and desire, then he will never be then he will never be perfect in his life. In other words, a man may theoretically know all these things, but if he does not apply them in his own life, then he is to be known as the lowest of mankind. In the human form of life, a living entity is expected to be sane and to follow regulations given for elevating his life to the highest platform. But if he does not follow them, then he degrades himself. But even if he follows the rules and regulations and moral principles and ultimately does not come to the stage of understanding the Supreme Lord, then all his knowledge becomes spoiled. And even if he accepts the existence of God, if he does not engage himself in the service of the Lord, his attempts are spoiled. Therefore, one should gradually raise himself to the platform of Krishna consciousness and devotional service. It is then and there that he can attain the highest perfectional stage, not otherwise. The word kartaha is very significant. A person who knowingly violates the rules acts in lust. He knows that this is forbidden, but still he acts. This is called acting whimsically. He knows that this should be done, but still he does not do it. Therefore he is called whimsical. Such persons are destined to be condemned by the Supreme Lord. Such persons cannot have the perfection which is meant for the human life. The human life is specially meant for purifying one's existence, and one who does not follow the rules and regulations cannot purify himself, nor can he attain the real stage of happiness.
Okay. Yeah, Mother, you want to ask question? Raise the hand.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. So,
Uh,
Prabhuji, I wanted to know if there is any reference where we get the idea of where this greed comes from, because we have heard that lust and anger comes from the unfulfilled desires, but where this greed comes from?
Actually, Baldev Vidyabhushan actually says over there, and actually in Surrender Into Me, if you read, Origin 2 quotes uh, that particular part where he says that, shall I show you? Just a minute. I'll show you. Able to see, I hope so. Please read this.
Growth appears only when our desires are checked, But what if we are able to satisfy our desires without hindrance? Do we then become peaceful? No. We are filled with lobe, greed. Greed gives birth to moh, illusion, and loss of discrimination. Next comes mother, the intoxication of pride. The mixture of these five, envy, matsar, is able to manifest fully. Thus, all these demoniac qualities are rooted in lust.
So, mainly, Bhujan Prabhu has added these three commentaries in only. Vishnu Chabur Thakur, Baldev Vidyabhushan, and sometimes from Ramanujacharya. So, straight. So, and that's why, Prabhupada, one man has asked Prabhupada, you Swamiji, your book, Bhagavad Gita appears to be, as English version of Ramanujacharya's commentary. So, Prabhupada actually thanked him. He said, okay, very good. Yeah, it is a bona fide way that I have given as it is. So, and I have heard from the senior devotees who are scholars that Ramanacharya and Baldev Vidyabhushan commentary to large degree matches. In some aspects, surely in some aspect doesn't matches. That is also true. And when it comes to defining pure devotional service, surely Lord Chaitanya took from um, Ramanacharya itself, but still there's a bit of a difference. And, there's a bit of a difference for sure. Uh, to be because okay, I just tell because I have touched this point. In ours, in Gaudiya Vaishnavas, if you read now eventually NOD, when you will read Jeev Goswami's commentary on the verses of definitions of pure devotional service. Oh my Lord, it's they do a threadbare analysis of it. And if you read Sandarbhas, which I have heard, I'm yet to read, but I have heard from devotees. So there's much of a threadbare analysis over there, even to degree that they go on to say that even this verse yat karoshi dasnasi jehosida, for according to majority of when I say other sampradaya, we have to be careful, but yeah, that's truth. We have to also compare with our sampradaya. Our sampradaya, Jiva Goswami doesn't say that to be words to be as a pure devotional service. Why? अरे जो करो करो और फिर भगवान को अर्पण करो, वो प्योर डिवोशनल सर्विस नहीं है. पहले अर्पण करने का भावना रखो, फिर करो. That is pure devotional service. मतलब in our lay terms, in a layman word, the words would be that भोग बनाने के बाद भगवान को अर्पण करने का मत सोचो. भोग बनाने से पहले भगवान की खुशी के बारे में सोचो, फिर भोग बनाओ, फिर अर्पण करो. Something like that. So it's a layman word. So there's a differences, for sure. But to a large degree, there is not much of a not much difference. So maybe this has been taken from uh, Ramanacharya or somebody like that, and that's why I showed to you. Is that okay? No? Gurujan to says over there. Yes. Anybody else has before I get into this purport of this particular shloka which we're taking? Okay. So this verse is a very famous verse. Yeah, Shastra Vidhi Mustujya Vartate Kamakarata. I know. So, because Krishna is now stating, in these two shlokas, 23rd and 24th, we have to know it. He's saying solution to be, sir, how to be, or solution for being protected from these three enemies, which are the gateways to hell, lust, anger, and greed. What is the solution, sir? Shastra Vidhi Palan Karna. शास्त्र विधि पालन करिए, बचे रहेंगे. Safeguard yourself by following Shastra Vidhi. And when he says Shastra Vidhi, Prabhupada writes very amazingly. Prabhupada knows because people will point which Shastra, this Shastra, that Shastra. Prabhupada says simple. Ultimately, your Shastra Vidhi Palan should not just stop yourself to be, safeguarding from action of lust, anger, and greed. It should rise us to the platform of performing pure devotional service. Else, not much of you. So now somebody say, "Arey, ye kya bolte?" No, not of money use, matlab kya? At least I lived a human life. But according to pure devotees, even if you live like a human form of life, what next will you only get, another human form of life. A class jail or B class jail or C class jail, that's what Prabhupada is saying. But even if he follows the rules and regulations and moral principles, we don't undermine these principles and regulations. It has to be followed. But Prabhupada is saying, even if you follow, but ultimately does not come to the stage of understanding the Supreme Lord, all his knowledge becomes spoiled. And even if he accepts it, but somewhere, "No, no, sir, I understand Supreme Lord." Okay, even if you accept the existence of God, but does not engage himself in the service of the Lord, his attempts are spoiled. Therefore, one gradually raises himself to the platform of Krishna consciousness and devotional service. It is then and there he can attain the highest purpose stage, not otherwise. So, no, we should not act like that where we said, Sham eva hi kevalam. It should not be just like that. So for us, for the normal people, how those who are yet not devotees, uh, how how they can safeguard from these three actions, these three gateways to of hell, शास्त्र विधि पालन करो. भैया जो तुम्हारे वर्ण और आश्रम के हिसाब से शास्त्र विधि है वो पालन करो. But for devotee, when we say shastra, it has to be bhakti shastra. Shastras which are which are unmukh to bhakti principles. And vidhis, Shastra vidhis which are favorable for our devotion service, not unfavorable for our devotion. And when I say devotional service, because majority of our initiated devotees. So we all are initiated into Gaudiya Vaishnava. So means what? Vidhis, Shastra vidhis, which is conducive to make us follow pure devotional service. Right now. That is why initiation are taken. So that we can practice pure devotional service. So, so that is what that's meaning of Shastra Vidhi over here. So mainly one has to get his references, from Bhakti Shastras. So somebody may say, you know, uh, some people, may say that, you know, some people may say like this that we, you know, some people say that it's a it's a too complex, you know. Everything has to be Shastra Vidhi along with, it becomes, so please understand, in our Bhakti Shastra, some people say, but where in the Shastra says about this situation, where in the Shastra says about this situation, what to do, which Vidhi then to palan, जब शास्त्र में वैसे एग्जाम्पल्स नहीं दिए हुए हैं जो मेरे लाइफ में आ रहे हैं. So that is why one has to know Shastra Bhagavata Pariya Bhagavata Sthane. Right? No? So Bhagavat, Bhakti Shastras has to be read read or heard or understood from those who are followers of Bhakti Shastras. That's why over here, Vartate Kama Karatah. Now, if some does not understands it and takes decisions and actions based on his lower instincts rather than getting instructed by the Bhakti Shastras or Bhagavatas, yes, then he's a whimsical man. So, whimsical people, na sukham, na param gatim. So, na sasiddhim apnoti, na sukham, na param gatim. Oh, neither gets perfection, neither attains perfection, neither is happy in this life, and neither will attain destination of supreme in the future. So this is three principles. One has to be very, very careful. And Prabhupada is very clear with it. One has to come to the platform of practicing pure devotional service. So the word kama karata is very significant. Knowingly violates the rule, acts in lust. So now, because question is asked, sir, somebody may not know what is lust now. What is lust? Very simple. you violate the rule and act, that's lust. So he knows that is forbidden, but still he acts. This is acting whimsically, whimsical nature. So this whimsical nature has only brought us over here in this world. Whimsical nature, if we continue, will keep us in this world also. But if we give up, there's a way that we can go. We can escape from this material world to the spiritual world. So, so over here, Krishna is actually stating over here that if you want to give up, don't act according to your own preferences. Kama karatah means according to your own preferences and giving up the prescribed actions. So if you do like that, purification of heart won't be attained, Siddhim. What to speak of attaining Sukham, peacefulness, or liberation, Paramgati. So purification of heart ही नहीं आएगा. So you won't be our heart will be filled with lust, anger, and greed, and that creates huge problem. So now stating that, Krishna says the last verse for this chapter. He states over here. He states further in this particular shloka, and that ends the chapter over here. Tasmak shastram pramanam te karya akarya vyavastito gyatva shastra vidho naktam karma kartum viharasi. Read, Prabhuji, or Mataji, anyone. Please
One
read.
One should therefore understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. As stated in the 15th chapter, all the rules and regulations of the Vedas are meant for knowing Krishna. If one understands Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita and becomes situated in Krishna consciousness, engaging himself in devotional service, he has reached the highest perfection of knowledge offered by the Vedic literature. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made this process very easy. He asked people simply to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and to engage in the devotional service of the Lord and eat the remnants of foodstuff offered to the deity. One who is directly engaged in all these devotional activities is to be understood as having studied all Vedic literature. He has come to the conclusion perfectly. Of course, for the ordinary persons who are not in Krishna consciousness or who are not engaged in devotional service, what is to be done and what is not to be done must be decided by the injunctions of the Vedas. One should act according.
Yeah, over here.
One should act accordingly without argument. That is called following the principles of Shastra or scripture. Shastra is without the four principal defects that are visible in the conditioned soul. Imperfect senses, the propensity for cheating, certainty of committing mistakes, and certainty of being illusioned. These four principal defects in conditioned life disqualify one from putting forth rules and regulations. Therefore, the rules and regulations. Yes, Prabhuji?
Oh, just a minute. I just remembered my example before I forget it.
Yeah.
Sorry to stop you. Where Prabhupada is writing, without argument, one should follow Shastras. I just remembered I was hearing Prabhupada's one lecture. He said, Are, when the cow from his mouth touches something, suppose he touches the DT plate from the mouth, the DT plate has to be offered and then engage in the service, has to be cleaned and then engage in the service of the Lord. And from the same cow, the back part of his cow, the cow dung and the cow urine, is is offered to the Lord directly. Same cow. उसके आगे के मुंह से कुछ निकल गया, कुछ टच हो गया, उसको धो के एंगेज करेंगे. पीछे से निकला काउ डंग और काउ यूरिन को सीधे ले आके ऑफर करेंगे. ये क्या एनिमल एक ही है. एनिमल एक, ये क्या लॉजिक है भाई? आदमी वही है, मतलब राइट ना? इट इज लाइक सेम लाइक, एक आदमी ने लेफ्ट हैंड से कुछ छुआ, उसको धोना पड़ेगा, राइट हैंड से कुछ छुआ तो उसको उसको एज इट इज ऑफर कर सकते। अरे आदमी एक ही भाई ना। So what is the logic? What is the logic? No logic. Shastra says cow dung is pure, cow's mouth is impure. That's it, accepted. So, and you would have surely have heard one more example that says about cow dung is dung is impure of anyone's, but cow dung is pure. Why? Because Shastra says it. So yeah, but this was more amazing. How का mouth से निकला कुछ हुआ तो गंदगी, पीछे से निकला साफ है, साफ इतना कि सीधे ऑल्टर में जाता है. Why? No argument. Shastra says accepted. In the same way, when Bhakti Shastra says no argument, accepted. Clarification can be sought. And clarification and argument, what is the difference? In argument, we want to defy accepting the principle. In clarification, we ask for the sake of following. That's the meaning of argumenting and clarifying. Clarification, very good. Because clarification, if you clarify, faith will develop, and you will do it more nicely. Argument, that's the attitude of rejecting. So one should act accordingly without argument. That is a following the principle of Shastra. Shastra is without the four principal defects that are visible in the conditioned soul. Yeah. Please continue. Sorry for that.
Yes, no problem, Prabhuji. These four principal defects in conditioned life disqualify one from putting forth rules and regulations. Therefore, the rules and regulations are described in the Shastra, being above these defects, are accepted without alteration by all great saints, acharyas, and great souls. In India, there are many parties of spiritual understanding, generally classified as two, the impersonalist and the personalist. Both of them, however, lead their lives according to the principle of the Vedas. Without following the principles of the scriptures, one cannot elevate himself to the perfectional stage. One who actually therefore understands the purport of the Shastras is considered fortunate. In human society, aversion to the principles of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all fall downs. That is the greatest offense of human life. Therefore, Maya, the material energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always giving us trouble in the shape of the threefold miseries. This material energy is constituted of the three modes of material nature. One has to raise himself at least to the mode of goodness before the path to understanding the Supreme Lord can be opened. Without raising oneself to the standard of the mode of goodness, one remains in ignorance and passion, which are the cause of demoniac life. Those in the modes of passion and ignorance deride the scriptures, deride the holy man, and deride the proper understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They disobey the instructions of the spiritual master, and they do not care for the regulations of the scriptures. In spite of hearing the glories of devotional service, they are not attracted. Thus, they manufacture their own way of elevation. These are some of the defects of human society which lead to the demoniac status of life. If, however, one is able to be guided by a proper and bona fide spiritual master who can lead one to the path of elevation to the higher stage, then one's devotional life becomes successful.
So over here is a very beautiful purport. Where Prabhupada is saying that it opens up his purport by quoting 15.15 where says that Vedeshta sarve aham veda vedyo vedant ved videha shaham. If you say you are following the rules and regulations of Vedas, means you should come to understand eventually Krishna consciousness. Follow it. And that's what, because sarva giyate, Vedesha sarva giyate, that's one of that I am only sung throughout the Vedas. Anta, Adi, Madhya and Anta. All three places I am only there in the scriptures. So if you say you are following scripture, means what? You have to come to the practice. You have come to a platform of practicing devotional service. So so one has to follow it, the shastras without argument, and one should short clarifications. No problem. But if we follow it, then only we can. Shastra is without the four principal defects, and we will also. Although if we follow shastras, you know, you know, actually Madhyam Uttama Adhikari, Uttam Adhikari I'm saying, not Bhakta. Not I'm saying Madhyam Adhikari and Madhyam or not Madhyam Bhakta I'm saying. So these Adhikari of Madhyama level and Uttama level are based on the faith of Shastras, right? Na? As the Shastric faith increases, so the devotion of a devotee also increases. So if the Shastra in the faith is not there, then one of the Uttam Adhikari, though, they say that now, Shastra Nipuna, that's as been said, Nipun word, means he's qualified in Shastras. Means what? He knows in and out of the Shastra in the sense, the essence. No Shastras speak anything which is not favorable for devotion. So, if you ask any statement, he will make us understand how it is favorable, and or if it is not favorable, he also say not, no, not for you. He's very clear. He's never confused about it. So this is a way to rise above the four defects that we have in a condition. Those of the no condition soul, you know. So you know, so these four defects, cheating propensity is a very prominent. See, imperfect senses, we can't do much with it. We have mistake. No, to human is error. That is also not much in our hand. We can take some degree of caution in that we don't commit mistake. Illusioned, we get illusioned. But cheating is in our hand. We cheat. The whether we want to cheat or not is in our hand. So if somebody, and what is cheating? Cheating is is denying the code and conducts of the scriptures um, through some logic and argument or whimsically. No, cheating is denying it, not doing it, but still showing I am. This mentality of the four among these four defects, propensity for cheating, we have to give it up. We should, we should not never try to access that. So one has to rise above this, follow the shastras, and do it. And that's how one has to live the life. So Prabhupada is very clear. Without following the scripture, one cannot elevate in the perfect. This is one who therefore actually understands the purport of the shastra is considered fortunate. So yeah, there are two kinds of transcendentalists, impersonalists and personalists, but personalist is more fortunate, is fortunate because he actually understands the purport of the shastra. So and the last one Prabhupada is writing in his purport that one has to raise himself at least to the mode of goodness. So in the 11th canto, when teaching Sodhav, Lord says this. See, because of the three modes, what happens? Mode basically, out of the three modes, passion and ignorance. These two, passion and ignorance, what they do, they um, they actually instigate the ego, instigate the ego, and because of the ego, the designations comes, false designation comes, and then mind gets into the action. We identify ourselves with the mind. First, we identify with the ego, then we identify with the mind. Mind had a sankalpa shakti. The mind does sankalpa. The mind, when it makes sankalpa, sankalpa means what? I want to enjoy. I want to enjoy by eating. Suppose this is sankalpa. Then vikalpa comes to intelligence. Bhagavad Gita, Uddhav Gita has been said, Krishna says very clearly. Vikalp is what is given by intelligence. You want to enjoy by eating? You want to enjoy by eating ice cream? You want to enjoy by eating Govindas? You want to enjoy by eating restaurant? You want to enjoy eating biryani or whatsoever. So it's been said, actually, sadhaka has to root out at the sankalp level itself that desire. Means at the mental level itself. If he does not does that and he gets to vikalp formation, it's much difficult. And once he chooses the one of the vikalp, ऐसे ही enjoy करने वाला हूँ. Very difficult. So that's what has been said. So a devote, that's why Prabhupada is saying, if because of these ignorance and passion, will instigate lust, anger, greed a lot. Because of which, mind will start demanding certain things, will desire certain things, will like to act in a certain, will push the senses to act in a within certain way, and then vikalp is made, and once it is fixed, very difficult. So the root of all this problem is passion and ignorance. Tada rajas tamo bhava kama lobha dayascha. What is the way? Chetareta viddham sitam sattve prasidhati. So one has to rise from rajas and tamas and at least come to the goodness over here. Prabhupada is stating in this purport. Because at the goodness level, we can at least have some discrimination. No, else, no, else it is very difficult. Passionate and ignorant people. I hope you know very well when I'm saying passion, ignorance to be wrong. The next sloka to this, what I'm quoting was Sankalp and Vikalp. Over there and said, ignorance has to be given away at once. Passion has to be dovetailed. Passion has to be, you say, dovetailed or should be slowly transformed. But both are very deadly. So one remains in ignorance. See, using passion and ignorance is different thing. Consumed by passion and ignorance is very different. So remaining in ignorance and passion are a cause of demoniac life. So yeah, Shastra Vidhi Palan, if we wish to do that we are not called a whimsical soul, we have to come to at least level of a goodness. And at least goodness. And we have to transcend that also. So goodness now, 17th chapter will open up for you and you will see a lot of that in goodness, faith, goodness, faith, and passion, and all those things will come. So one has to have, actually Krishna in the Uddhav Gita ahead says about it, that, you keep your 10 things he says, 10 things he says, and each of these things has to be followed in a mode of goodness. So then it will lead you that you will be situated in goodness. Krishna says that. So uh, so that's what has been said over here. Prabhupada is writing that, yeah, to does those in a mode of passion, they write the scripture, they write the holy man sadhu, and they write the proper understanding of spirituality of God. They deride it. It's not that they don't understand it. They deride it. Deriding is very different. So deride the scripture, deride the holy name, deride the Bhagavan, and they disobey the instruction of the spiritual master. They do not care of the regulation of the scriptures. In spite of hearing the glories of devotional service, they are not attracted. So yeah, one who has taken away, his mind has been taken away by the lust and anger, lust and passion and ignorance. ये बहुत late, it's very difficult for him. Till the point now he does not settles down. Now it's very difficult for him to come to the level of understanding the instructions of Krishna. So, we see the example in the scriptures. Ravan was taken away by lust. So many people is making him understand, Arey, chhod do, Sita Mai ko wapas kar do. But nahi, he was mad. So, you know, Indra had pride, right? I know, and Indra's pride keeps on coming again and again. So these all, what happens is that so Indra has come and shard flower at the time of the birth of Krishna, appearance of Krishna. He had come and shard flower every time in Vrindavan, whenever Krishna has killed a demons. But he could not take it up. When Krishna lifted Govardhan hill, actually to, to protect the Vrajvasis. And amazing is when some other devotees also say, even after doing this, getting a lesson again in the pastime of bringing Parijat tree. No, from there, I mean, he back again acted nonsensical. So that's what happens when somebody is taken over by the passion and ignorance. Very difficult. It's very difficult. Truly, we have. At least I have seen many examples. You would have also seen many examples. कितना भी बुद्धि दो, वो सांप के आगे भैंस के आगे बीन बजाने के बराबर। हिंदी में कहावत है, ऐसे बोलते हैं। तो भैंस के आगे बीन बजाओ कुछ नहीं होता। सांप के आगे बीन बजाओ तो कुछ तो ऐसे ऐसे करता भी है। भैंस के आगे बीन बजाओ कुछ नहीं करेगा। So it is something like that. Speaking good instructions in front of a people who's taken away by passion and ignorance. Very difficult. So understanding that, we have to be very careful, and we should safeguard ourselves from this. Follow Shastra Vidhi and be safe away, and eventually enrich divine qualities by performance of devotional service. And that's how we go ahead in our devotional life. Do you have any questions, Prabhuji and Mataji? Because I don't wish to. I'll just show you the overview of the 17th chapter. If you don't have questions, do you have any questions, comments?
I have a question. Just want to clarify actually. These varnashrams and the devotional service. So I think somewhere it was mentioned when we were reading today that from each varna and each ashram one can progress further. Whereas in Karmakand generally it is prescribed that it is step by step that they have to proceed. So that is the fundamental difference that if we are discussing these matters with someone, that is how this should be explained, that devotional services can be performed at any stages, and one can transcend from then there itself. And whereas in Kamkon, one has to go progressively. Is that correct understanding? Prabhu?
Yeah. If it's just a karma kandi, oh Bab, what difficult process. Because karma kand, then he has to come to the level of, if he's not a bhakta. Actually, at karma kand level also, he can perfect his life in the sense of, because their destination is heaven. है ना, तो उसमें भी भक्ति का एलिमेंट डालना पड़ता है उसको भी लाने के लिए. That's a different subject matter. But karma kand itself is very difficult. And then if he has to move towards jnana kand begins with sannyas. There's a karma sannyas. So he enters into jnana kand. Then it begins with sannyas. Prabhupada actually at one place, he had a talk with Mr. Dr. Patel in his morning walk. The previous day, Dr. Patel, he had brought one or two friends, very heated argument in the morning walk on Juhu beach. And the next day, morning walk, Prabhupada's morning walk, he's stating, and Prabhupada is saying, these fellows, they quote Shankaracharya, who is a Jnani, Jnani Marg, right? But Jnana Marg begins with sannyas. Prabhupada is so heavy. He is condemning them. These fellows, they have not dared. He is saying don't agree, ladies. Because they are not devotees. So anyhow, so they are like that. And he's condemning heavily with them. Why I am saying that? So karma kand, if has to lead to jnana kand and then to upasana kand, then to it's very best is this, we tell them, that from wherever you are, come to Sakam Karma Yogi, Nishkam Karma Yogi. Actually, we don't give them any path of Sakam, Nishkam. We say them straight, chant Hare Krishna, move ahead, and accept the knowledge. Yeah, that's all. Prabhupada says at one place in Bhagavad Gita, 12th chapter, where Krishna is stating, है ना, मन नहीं दे सकते तो साधना भक्ति करो, साधना भक्ति नहीं कर सकते तो कर्मार्पणम करो, ऐसे ऐसा बोल रहे प्रभु, 3-4 श्लोक है वहां पे। तो वहां पे प्रभुपाद एक जगह पढ़ पे देखते हैं, Krishna wants, and he finally concludes, Krishna concludes by saying after these 3-4 stages, he concludes that best is to give man or to do sadhana bhakti. And Prabhupada was there that Krishna is very clearly stating that what he wants. And then was, and that is what we should preach. You know, because it's very difficult to do karma kand even in Kali Yuga. That's very difficult. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Yes, bro. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, yeah. Anyone else like to ask, share something? Okay. So I'll just show you the breakdown of the 17th chapter. Arjuna Ishwar Prabhu will begin your 15th chapter. This division of faith. So the 17th chapter opens up, and this is the a summary of this chapter. So okay. Before I give the summary of 17th, I'd like to give the summary of 16th chapter itself, which has ended. That is more better. So divine and demoniac. So the first and the third was Devi Sampat, where you heard about the divine qualities. Divine qualities which Krishna started saying, from which Krishna started saying from 16.1. Basically, and he so he started saying over there. Yeah, so Abhayam Satyasam Suddha Jnanam Yoga Samadhi. All he quoted these verses, and then fourth and fifth he said about the demonic qualities, beginning with Dambho Darpa Abhimanascha, on Asurik Sampad, and then he moved towards saying, what is Asurik Sampad, Devi Sampad, he explained, and then he starts speaking the activities of demonic people from the 10th shloka onwards, activities and the consequences, all those he explains them in 10th to 20th chapter. Karmam, kamam ashrita duspuram, dambha mana madanvitaha, moha grisva, prahan, pravartante suchivartata, and all that he explained over here, and these slokas. And then towards the 19th and 20th, as we talked about, he says what happens, how much, what happens to, what is his view, or how he reacts to people who have demonic nature. And then he says what is the root for the demonic nature. It's the lust, anger, and greed. If one has to be, and what is the way to overcome or not to act, all the being in a conditioned state, infested with lust, anger, and greed, but how to safeguard that we don't put those tendencies into action is by following Shastra Vidhi. So by saying that, he ends. And now when he quoted Shastra Vidhi, so then surely the point will open up is of faith. So he opens up with the faith in the next chapter, the division of faith, and then he starts saying that, see, yeah, everybody will have a different kind of faith, in different things, including Shastras. So now Arjuna will inquire in unauthorized worship of those who have same faith which is not based on scripture. What happens to them? Shraddha of 3 kinds. So food in 3 modes and all this, because he has ended this shloka also by saying the chapter by saying you should have uh, uh, no, one should understand what is duty and what is not. Yatva shastra vidhi noktam karma kartum irhasi. So ना जान के शास्त्र विधि को समझ के जानते हुए शास्त्र का पालन करो. तो अभी ये faith open up होगा, क्योंकि according to the faith that you develop, that faith the development depends on the 3 modes. How do you act in it? That kind of faith will be there, that kind of following of scriptures will be there. So that's how it will begin. So I end over here. Thank you for giving an opportunity to present these section of Bhagavad Gita over here to all of you. You know, some of you are very senior to me. You know, still you come and hear. I'm very grateful to you because of you, I also get an opportunity to present. Because again and again we have to read the sections for different groups. That makes us, that revives us also and gives us opportunity to refresh our brains so that we also follow. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.